The air, the water, the soil is yours. Those lands are my lands and your lands are public lands. They were never intended to be working ranches. And that's true at Point Reyes.
This magnificent peninsula has been called an island in time. But with the official establishment today of the Point Reyes National Seashore, we can be assured that for posterity, this island in time will remain much as it is now.
I've been working for 50 years on environmental quality matters. And when I started out, they were just thinking about Point Reyes Seashore. And I worked half a dozen years and finally acquired north of Bolinas and out at Point Reyes itself for the purpose of creating a park. I promised them we'd make a park out of it.
The Park Service put together a deal to buy that land from the ranchers. Ultimately, the ranchers all did sell their land, which became the park.
The role of the environmentalists has always been fighting to keep them from overdoing their consumption of resources.
The Point Reyes National Seashore is at the center of another legal battle. 2 years ago, it was an oyster farm. Now, it's cattle, and the cattle ranching families who call Point Reyes home.
We do hear certain assumptions that cows are bad. That's not the whole story. My name's Kevin Lunny, and I live on the historic G Ranch on the Point Reyes National Seashore. I'm third generation, and our grandkids living on the ranch are fifth generation. So we were in the dairy business. And in the late 70s, there were challenges. The National Seashore was brand new. There were new challenges around whether we were going to be able to stay or not.
I've been a farmer my whole life. Why I'm so passionate is because it's my home, it's my business, it's my livelihood. So it's very personal to me. If people want to portray cows as bad, it's fairly easy to do. You can take pictures of the ground disturbance around a water trough or next to a fence by a gate where there's a lot of traffic, and you can show manure piles. You can even talk about greenhouse gas production and all these sorts of parade of terribles around cattle.
Yeah, of course. Anytime you're using land for anything, that can be framed as a negative impact on the environment. What often doesn't get considered and hasn't been considered at Point Reyes when they have ended ranching on a few of the parcels, there's been no consideration of what's the environmental impact of taking them off, of stopping that management. You get a different kind of ecosystem, and you get one that's problematic in a bunch of different ways.
If the ranching was closed in Point Reyes, it will be the demise of our rural communities.
Our local churches are going to lose families. Our local barber isn't going to have enough heads to cut hair. Our schools are going to be impacted by dozens and dozens and dozens of kids lost in the schools.
It's very much a hollowing out of our community by people that don't have anything vested into our community.
I would hate to imagine what would happen if the ranches weren't allowed to operate on the land. We would lose not only the ability to have these families who have been here for generations continue doing what they do and remaining in the area where they've lived for generations. We also wouldn't be able to carry and offer such wonderful local product.
Progress for the ranch moving forward is a huge question, and it's the right question.
It's where do we need to be tomorrow? Where does our community need to be? Where does our food system need to be? We understand that we have a higher bar to meet from a regulatory standpoint and an environmental standpoint. We have to be the best of the best. And we actually look at that as a challenge. We say, yeah, we'll lead the rest.
If we can get past the lawsuits, put an end to the lawsuits, and if we can get back to talking about what's best for both nature and culture at Point Reyes, that would be huge progress in my book.
I mean, if people these days are wanting things to come from their backyards and they want to pay a good price for it and have the best possible quality and also have the economic and environmental good things going into it, it just doesn't make any sense to not have these ranches around.